All right, y'all. We're back in another video. We're back in another reaction backslash to talk about it. It's been a while. It's been a minute since we had one of these sit downs, let's talk about it videos. Mainly because I've been waiting to get all the news all at one time. So I'm not just spitting out 2, 3 minute videos based off of recent news. I'd rather just wait till we have more than enough to talk about so we can all just do it in one video. So, that being said, let's start out with some good news before we get into the stupidity of basketball media. So we're going to start out with Deja Kelly. Congratulations. She has signed a training camp deal with the Las Vegas Aces, who was not drafted on draft night. I seen this coming. I seen this coming mainly because I thought about it like this, right? And it's not to throw shade or anything like that, which I don't view it as shade regardless, but if players like Zaya Cook and Taya Cooper can get contracts in the W, Deja Kelly could definitely get one. If not being drafted, because I believe both Ted Cooper and Zaya Cook definitely was drafted, but Deja Kelly wasn't. But I do see WNBA potential in her, watching her play from North Carolina to Oregon. So yeah, congratulations to her for signing that deal. Um, but if she gets that full contract, this is a good pickup. A Hooper and new media personality to replace who is Sydney Colson, who is now a Indiana Fever. Who need a first round pick truly harmonious, we someone serious, and keep her on the roster too. So happy for her. Yes, so happy for you, Deja Kelly. Yeah, this is a good pickup for the Aces. The 3-time first team All ACC guard. And again, if Ted Cooper and Zaya Cook can get contracts and playing time in the W, I definitely see that in Deja Kelly. So that being said, there is that. Shout out to Angel Reese for buying her first home. But she has some shots to throw at the haters. Make sure we turn this up. She has some shots to throw at the haters. Cause they was talking a lot of smack. They said she need to cover up. So she went on the cover of Vogue magazine. They said she can't afford her rent. So she went and bought a house. Thank you. Thank you. Retired her mama? Check. Became a homeowner at 22? Check. So blessed. What they gonna say now? That's all I gotta say is what they gonna say now. Layups. That's all they're gonna keep bringing up is layups. That's it. And I'm telling you, her game is improving. So when she start making the layups, then what? Then what you gonna say now? Oh, she look like it. At that point, you just coming up with just anything, just to hate on Angel Reese. And here come Atomic. What? Nobody said you can't afford your rent. You're the one that said your WNBA salaries and you can't afford it. See, this all they gonna say. I am confusion. Says WNBA don't pay her bills, revealing how much she pays for her rental at her last place. Humble brag, and I took that personally. So now all of a sudden you couldn't afford your rent. I remember people was talking crazy. I remember that. That oh she's going broke. Oh why is she in the W? Oh why is she can't afford she can't afford. I mean, now she could afford to pay mortgage. She went from paying rent to paying mortgage at her own home at 22. What they gonna say now? But anyways, congratulations to Angel Reese for now having a home in Chicago. And again, now having to pay mortgage instead of paying rent to a landlord every month. Now we have college news. USC. We have some players signing to Death Row Records, I see. Kara Dunn, former Georgia Tech transfer. Kara Dunn announced her commitment to USC. The 5'11" guard averaged 15 points per game last season, shooting 49% from the field. I'm just saying, like, this is a good pickup. Let's look at her stat line. Let's look at her full stat line. Because averaging 15, 6 foot guard. So is that like a two guard, more than likely? Kira Dunn. Let's look at her stats. She averages 15 and a half, 6 rebounds and assists a game, 49% from the field, 35% from three, and 80% from the free throw line. Oh, so they got a score. Okay. You might have to check out her highlights. It seems like she can get a bucket. Now, is this a good replacement for K9 and Avery Howell? We'll see. Okay, so yeah, here's the full stat line. 15, pretty much 16 points, 6 rebounds, assists, steal a game, steal and a half a game with a 25.4 PER player efficiency rating, 122.5 PR player offensive rating. Because yeah, she can score, she's a bucket, right? 30 and a half net rating, and all the minutes she's played, 1,000 minutes. Okay, so we'll see how that works out for USC this season because we already know Juju Watkins is more than likely redshirting. I don't see her playing this year, but maybe so. So this is her season high 28 points against Pitt. Yeah, let's see. Let's do evaluation.
Junior from Dallas, Georgia, started every game
She's a
this year.
junior, so she's coming to USC as a senior
Junior
next
from
year
Dallas,
or this
Georgia,
fall.
started every game this year. Triple look at Georgia Tech starting lineup. This is the group they've relied upon all season long. And Kara Dunn, now Kara Dunn. This time she'll
Oh, it's
drive
Kira Dunn,
towards the
not
lane,
Kara Dunn. It's
spin,
Kira Dunn.
and lays it in. So far in the season. Kara Dunn and one. Season. Kara Dunn on the offensive glass. Back up and another and one chance.
See, me personally, I still think USC needs a center. They let Brad Cunningham go to Texas. They still have Del Rosario on the market. I don't know about Big O yet. Maybe you guys probably know more than I would if she committed. Because last time I seen Big O, she was dunking. She was on the rim like these, flexing on the rim. They could get her with Kira Dunn.
Didn't get the call.
So two solid pickups, but
She drew 8 fouls.
seeing these highlights, she can play. This is a good pickup for USC.
They cannot, and she's killing them on the back door. Low and a quick one and done. Bet ahead. Speaking of done,
Dunn is a done deal.
she's got two more. And a timeout called by Pittsburgh. Kara Dunn. This is off to Morgan. No, there's Dunn again on the offensive glass.
Yeah, she's definitely getting boards. She's definitely getting rebounds. I'm seeing some putback potential. Okay. See a little playmaking.
And that's key. Trying to still figure it out. You want to have it figured out once this time of season starts, but there's some growing pains they're having to go through.
Good finish.
And just denied. Now her offensive game has been going.
See the defense.
Kara Dunn leading the break. 3-on-1. Morgan herself. Blackshear high-low Dunn. She has got another and one opportunity. 39 if you're wondering. And now a loose ball. Morgan diving for it. Sprawling up against Battle. Feeds Kara Dunn from her back.
I mean, Pitt, it looked like they no good, but at the end of the day,
rebound though from Dunn. Carnegie cutting this time.
at the end of the day, I see starter potential. And like I've always said about going to USC, you're going to get exposure. You're going to get clout. You're definitely getting paid. You're getting endorsements. And then the vlogs. That's why I call them Death Row Records because they all in the videos, dancing, vlogging, TikToking. Go to USC. And she's definitely going to get playing time because, as we said, Juju will be out for the majority of the season. So Yeah. So we'll see how that turns out for USC. Speaking of USC, Jazzy Davidson is now the number one player in the class, moved from number three to number one for the top of the final ESPNW 100 ranking. This is her highlights from her recent game, so let's check her out too while we're here. Wait a minute, hold on. She's left-handed? That's all I need to know. She's left-handed. You know what that means? You're left-handed. You're going to be a problem this season. Okay, so it looks like the starting might be Jazzy Davidson, Kennedy, Kira Dunn. Um, I don't know about 4 and 5 yet. But just seeing that Jazzy Davidson is left-handed, she's going to be starting 100%. Simple. Let's see. And she's the number one player in the country. Yeah, she's starting next season, this fall. Yeah, I'm seeing some defense. Oh, yeah, it's left-hand family. That's all you need to know. She's going to be an issue this season. She looked big, too. And one? Oh, no. If she can bring the ball up the court? Oh, yeah, she's starting. Absolutely. Off the dribble. Good pass. Okay. Chavez is going to Oklahoma. I like how she could get to the basket, too. She's more like a shot creator, a playmaking shot creator. And Kira Dunn is more like a two-way slasher that could hit a couple threes here and there when you need them. Okay, yeah, so their front court, I mean, their back court looks pretty good so far. It's just the front court. I don't know if they signed any more bigs yet. But yeah, so from what I'm seeing, they cooking a little something there at University of Southern California. But with that being said, now that all the good news are done and out the way, let's get into the problem with basketball media in 2025. Hi guys, so just a quick edit. It's really quick. This next segment, this next topic we're going to talk about is going to sound like I'm all over the place. Mainly because I was so confused and so baffled from what I've read and what I saw, right? So I'm going to try to explain this as smooth as possible without not necessarily getting mad or frustrated, but this is why I don't like talking about basketball media, because what are y'all even saying? Y'all just say anything for clicks, likes, reposts, retweets, whatever. It just gets to a point where, is this considered clip farming? Like, what are we really doing? Okay, so here's the story, here's the lore, here's how we got to this position, right? Here's Rich Paul. Richie Rich Paul. He went on a podcast, the Pat McAfee Show, and they discussed LeBron's past with, of course, like Miami Heat, right? They brought up what was originally a decade and a half ago was labeled as the Big Three in Miami, because those were three all-star players on one basketball team. Here's what he had to say.
always love a big two. I don't really love a big three. The big three thing has never really worked. And you say, well, what happened in Miami? That wasn't really a big three. There was, when you think about it, Bosh was the ultimate professional. He took a back seat and he played a role in which, because he had such a high IQ and he was such a professional as an individual, his approach to everything is what made that work.
Okay, so here are the main, I guess you could say, characters of the story, right? There's LeBron, right? LeBron, D Wade. Matter of fact, let's go back to LeBron. LeBron, he didn't have to come to Miami because he could have went to 29 other teams, or he could have stayed in Cleveland. But he had an entire TV ESPN segment on where he was going to go. He ends up going to Miami.
What's your decision?
In this fall, man, this is very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Miami Heat. That was the conclusion you woke up with this morning.
That was the conclusion I woke up with this morning.
There's D Wade, Dwayne Wade, who's already an established champion with Miami back in 2006. And there's Chris Bosh, the main, I guess you could say the main character of the story, right? A player who, by the way, before even coming to Miami, was an all-star. I believe 5-time all-star, right? Player that was averaging 24 and 11 before coming to Miami. All three of these players come to one team. They have an entire celebration in Miami, celebrating these three players, right? You see Chris Bosh screaming like, and you'll hear me say this in the video, he was screaming as like some type of Jurassic Park dinosaur. He was excited to come to Miami. You see LeBron on the podium, on stage, saying they're going to win not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7.
Just to win 2 championships, and he get booted right back to Cleveland where it all started. But see, here's the problem with what Rich Paul said. The reason why we're here talking about this today is because, in a sense, he discredited Chris Bosh and what he brought to the table by saying he was just such a professional, he was well loved, so that's why he was more of a big three instead of really in his eyes being a big two with D Wade and LeBron. For those that don't understand what I'm trying to say, I'll put it in women's basketball terms, right? We just watched UConn, right, with Paige, Azzi Fudd, and Sarah Strong. That's what Rich Paul said on the Pat McAfee show, saying that there was really a big two, because he doesn't like to refer as a big three. That's like saying, well, what we just watched at UConn, Paige, Azzi, and Sarah Strong, all three really big core players for UConn's success this past season. That's like saying, in a decade and a half later, that's like saying Sarah Strong was just all right. She was being mid. And it was really just Paige and Azzi, Paisy, whatever nickname you like, because y'all have plenty of nicknames for UConn players. But that's like saying Paige, Beckers, and Azzi Fudd was carrying the team, and Sarah Strong was just all right because she was a quiet storm in a sense. She was just all right in the mid, like she wasn't cooking grad students at 19 years old as a freshman. And what I found ironic was Sarah Strong and Chris Bosh pretty much averaged the same amount of stats. Sarah Strong and Chris Bosh averaged the same, almost borderline the same stats. But that's like saying in women's terms, oh, it was really just Paige Beckers and Azzi Fudd carrying the team. Like Sarah Strong was just all right. That's a problem. That's a red flag, bro. Because again, I've said this plenty of times. Sarah Strong, you might have to check her birth certificate because how is she playing this well as a freshman? And it's the same with Chris Bosh. Now, depending on who you ask, I say that Sarah Strong might be a third option, second option, maybe even option 1. But we all knew option 1 was Paige. But the way how she was playing, and I've said this in previous videos too, that Sarah Strong could be a National Player of the Year caliber player. As long as she stays healthy and stays in a very well-coached program, she could be a National Player of the Year. Easily. And was the #1 player in her class. Yes, could be a very highly, even in her draft class, she might even go number one there, depending on how that class goes, who comes in and things of that nature, right? And it's the same in Miami with Chris Bosh. Even though he was considered a third option, he was very helpful for Miami winning those two championships and going to the finals every single year that they were there. And again, same with Sarah Strong. Very, 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 very big production for UConn this year. Because if Sarah Strong was just all right, they probably wouldn't have been as far as they were. So that's really the issue and the problem I have with what Rich Paul said. To discredit Chris Bosh like he was just average, like he wasn't an all-star before and during his Miami tenure, it's just ridiculous. I don't understand it. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get into the video. It's going to sound like I'm all over the place. I'm going to have a good yap session about it. But I just wanted to come on here and give you guys a sense of what's about to happen. Anyways, let's get into the video. Right. So, this happened a few days ago, right? I know I'm a little late, but as they say, better late than never, right? Here's the problem with basketball media. As you can see on the screen, we have Richie Rich Paul saying there wasn't really a big three in Miami. So, I mean, let's put it like this. If you know the NBA basketball history, you know this happened, right? But for those that don't know, for those that don't watch the NBA, I will make a women's basketball comparison to this, right? So let's go down memory lane, right? Let's go all the way back to 2010, 2011. These three players, Chris Bosh, right? Keep him in mind. D Wade, and of course, LeBron, aka everybody's lordship, right? These three became teammates 2010, 2011. D Wade, guy in the middle, who was already here in Miami, won a championship with the Heat in 2006. Chris Bosh, who was drafted to the Raptors, who ended up going to Miami, and LeBron James, who had an entire segment on television for where he was going to go next. And he ended up picking the Miami Heat. The reason why we are talking about this is because we're tired of the disrespect, bro. We're tired of LeBron's teammates being disrespected for absolutely no reason. Like Chris Bosh didn't help them win championships. Like it was really just a big two and there wasn't a big three. Like Chris Bosh wasn't on stage screaming his lungs out like some type of Jurassic Park dinosaur. Like I don't understand. Like how is there no big three when he's up there on the podium on the stage with these two, listening to LeBron James say, "We're not gonna win. We're gonna win. Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven." Listening to LeBron James, Lee Lordship, say that to only win two funky old championships for him to then get booted out of Miami to go back home to Cleveland. Meanwhile, Chris Bosh was still there in Miami, by the way. Let's look at Chris Bosh stats before even going to Miami. This was a player that was averaging 24 points and 11 rebounds before going to the Heat. And while playing for the Heat, first year, pretty much 19 and 8, 18 and 8, 16 and 7, 16 and pretty much 7, right? There's 17 and 7 and 16 and 7. So he sacrificed his stats for championships. Or as I would put it, he sold his soul for a championship, right? For success. Because he was doing his thing, right? 22, 23 points per game, 24. He was an all-star. So to say he wasn't part of the big three is ridiculous, right? So I'm gonna put it into women's perspective for those that don't understand what's going on, right? Let's put UConn as an example, right? Paige Beckers, Azzi Fudd, and Sarah Strong were all teammates, right? That's like saying 12, 14, 15 years from now, That's like saying Sarah Strong didn't help them win a championship this year. It was really Paige and AZ Fudd, Pagey, whatever you want to call it, was carrying them to the championship, and there was no Sarah Strong. She wasn't doing anything. There was no big three in UConn. It was just Paige and AZ, Paige Beckers and AZ Fudd carrying the team. You see how stupid that sounds? Sarah Strong was cooking grad students, averaging, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much averaging the same stats as Chris Bosh while he was on the Heat. And to say that he wasn't part of the big three is crazy. Now, depending on who you may ask, Chris Bosh was more of an option three, but that don't mean he wasn't part of the big three. Same with Sarah Strong. Sarah Strong, depending on who you ask, she may have been option two, depending on who you ask, she might have been option one. But she was part of the big three. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it messed up. It's the same with Chris Bosh. So for the people that really sit here and listen to Richie Rich Paul, like he knows anything about the NBA other than signing athletes. By the way, this is LeBron's manager, Clutch Sports manager, Rich Paul, for those that don't know what he does. Don't listen to people like this. This is why I had to get on camera for what he said about Paige. Y'all just saying stuff, listening to the media, don't even know what y'all even talking about. That's ridiculous to say Chris Bosh was a part of the big three. He's literally on stage with them. Other than that, he wouldn't have been here. He was literally averaging 25 a game as an all-star player. This is why I don't like talking sports with some people. Y'all just say anything. That's just like just recently, right? Like 2 days ago, I was in a Discord chat. Somebody went on Discord and said 2018 LeBron, right? Best version of LeBron, depending on who you ask. Might have been peak LeBron, right? They went out their way to say 2018 LeBron was so good for taking the Cleveland Cavaliers to the finals that Michael Jordan could never do that. Basically saying the East was so weak for LeBron, it would have been too powerful for Michael Jordan. The Michael Jordan, Michael Jeffrey, is the bald head guy that played in Chicago. Not Michael B. Jordan, the actor. No, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the guy with the Jumpman shoes. Yeah, him. The baldy. See, this is why I don't understand, and I will never understand the disrespect for the 90s, bro. They paved the way for players today. Yes, we have better technology than them back then, but to sit here and say that even Michael Jeffrey Jordan couldn't take the Cleveland Cavaliers to the finals, let's take in perspective who they played in 2018, right? The Cleveland Cavaliers playoffs, they played Indiana, Toronto, Boston, and the Warriors, right? First round versus Indiana. I'm going to be honest with you. Michael Jordan versus Indiana, bro. The entire series, all you going to see is this. You can't even see what I'm doing. All you going to see is the Jumpman logo. He just going to be flying across Indiana doing a Jumpman logo the entire game. That's all you going to see the entire game, the entire series. What y'all sitting up here saying Michael Jordan couldn't take Cleveland to the finals? Yeah, come on now. Indiana, Toronto, the entire series. Now, Boston might be a good series though. Only because that team could have beat Cleveland if they were healthy. Kyrie Irving didn't play because he was injured, and Gordon Hayward broke his leg the first game of the season. Mind you, they still took Cleveland to 7 games with a 19-year-old Tatum with a buzz cut that dunked on LeBron, which a lot of people try to sweep under the rug, right? They had Jalen Brown with a flat top. And everybody say he looked like Khalid, the rapper, singer, whatever he was. That's when Jalen still had the sky top, flat top. I might have had Smart, what's his name? Marcus Smart. I might have Marcus Smart still on the team. The oldest players was Al Horford and the Morris twin. And the Morris twin didn't even really do anything but scream in people's face. What did he do? And then you put Jordan in that perspective, right? In that sentence. Michael Jordan played in an era where if you went to the basket, you was going to ICU. I'm talking about flying tomahawks out the air. You going to the hospital. Michael Jordan played against the New York Knicks. They had Patrick Ewing, John Starks, and Xavier McDaniels. Xavier McDaniels is a grown man with no eyebrows, going forehead to forehead with Michael Jordan, nose to nose, chin to chin, whatever you want to use, with Michael Jordan, with no eyebrows. You think he worried about the Boston Celtics? Meanwhile, in his own era, he dropped what 69 on Boston, and Larry Bird said he was a god in human form. They was calling him Black Jesus, bro. And you think Michael Jordan couldn't took them to the finals? Now, respectfully and no biasness, I didn't see them beating the Warriors because they was cheap, right? You got Curry, you got Clay before his injuries, you got Draymond who was hitting threes, got Iguodala, and oh yeah, most importantly, they had Kevin Durant. You're not beating them. But as far as getting to the finals, once again, Indiana, who I believe is ran by Larry Bird, the entire series. You're getting dunked, you're getting teabagged. The whole series. Come on now, the Raptors, all game, Jumpman logo, both series. Boston could be a good one, but I still see Jordan getting that done. And the Warriors, I mean, yeah, you're gonna end up losing anyway. But anyways, back to this. Let's go through Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Apex Jones. If Bosh wasn't part of the Big Three, what the f is he doing on stage then? Exactly. What is he doing on stage, screaming like some type of Jurassic Park dinosaur if he wasn't part of the Big Three? Did you know that when they joined, LeBron won, D-Wade two, Bosh four, represented the three out of the top four players, PER leaders in the league. Kevin Durant was third. So the Miami Heat had three of the top four top players with the best player efficiency rating. Rich Paul saying Chris Bosh wasn't part of the Big Three in Miami. And you know if Rich is saying that, that's how LeBron feels. So yeah, let LeBron say this. Let Lee Lordship, LeBron James go on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. He say that, everybody gonna run with it. They gonna discredit Chris Bosh like he was a casual, like he was a nobody. That's so disrespectful to him. Because if I'm not mistaken, he had blood clots, like what Damian Lillard and Victor Wembanyama's going through right now. Bosh, before he joined Miami, had 24 points per game, top 10, 11 rebounds per game, top 10, fourth in PER, only 2010 top 10 scorer, five-time All-Star. Excuse me, this is a five-time All-Star before sacrificing his stats to go to the Heat. And to say he's not part of the Big Three, is again, my example earlier for the women that don't understand. That's like saying with UConn with Paige, AZ, and Sarah Strong all being a Big Three at UConn. That's like saying 10, 13, 15 years from now, that's like discrediting Sarah Strong and what she did and saying she wasn't part of the Big Three. It was just Paige and AZ, Paisy, whatever nickname you have for them. Paige Beckers and AZ Flood carrying UConn to a championship. And Sarah Strong was just like a casual. Like she wasn't 19 cooking grass noodles. See how stupid that sound? See how crazy that sound? Sarah Strong is already breaking Maya Moore's records, or close to eclipsing her records already at 19. And same with Chris Bosh. Again, this is a player, as they put, 24 points per game, 11 rebounds, top 10 in both categories, fourth in player efficiency rating, only 2010 top 10 scorer, and a five-time All-Star. And he not part of the Big Three. The more history that LeBron and Rich attempt to revise, the stupider we gonna make them look. Facts. Keep making them look stupid because it's just I don't get it. He never said Bosh was a part of the big three. He he said be quiet. He literally said that there was no big three. Exactly. He literally said out his own mouth. We gotta find the video. Because y'all see, this is what I be talking about. They trying to make it seem like, oh, hey, what he said? That's exactly what he said. 4 rings in 22 years is pretty bad. I understand the angle, but I understand the angle. When you consider all the cheating the game it took him to get those four, it really underscores how insignificant it is. Yeah, man, they keep giving him all these superstars. They need Luka Doncic. He was just in the finals last year. Now all of a sudden he on the Lakers? Downplaying Bosh's contributions got to be a new low. Exactly. Like, come on now. Before they switch their focus to Kevin Love, here's his stats pre-Cavs. Yeah, they gonna discredit this too, because Kevin Love was 2020 in Minnesota. They gave him LeBron. They gave LeBron him. They gonna say Kevin Love was a part of the Big Three soon. Yeah, let's find the video. Let's find this video because we need to actually hear.
Love a big two. I don't really love a big three. I don't really that's not the end all be all. I always love a big two. I don't really love a big three. I don't really people talk big three, but the big three thing has never really worked. And you say, well, what happened in Miami? That wasn't really a big three.
So for the person that said that wasn't, he never said there was a big
Has
three.
never really worked. And you say, well, what happened in Miami? That wasn't really a big three. Thing has never really worked. And you say, well, what happened in Miami? That wasn't really a big three. Big three thing has never really worked. And you say, well, what happened in Miami? That wasn't really a big three.
Once again, if it wasn't a big three, what is he doing on stage then? If it wasn't a big three, what is he doing on stage listening to Lee Lordship, your leader LeBron James, saying, we're not gonna win not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven. What are you doing on stage then? What is he doing here then? If he's not part of the big three, like he was after 25 points per game. Because there was a time where Chris Bosh was carrying the Heat when LeBron and D Wade wasn't playing. This game right here.
With .6 to play.
Who was carrying his team? Chris Bosh. Number one, right here.
Bosh for the tie. With .6 to play. Once
Man,
all the
come on.
clock ran down, they should have fouled. That was just, now you want them to foul? I said when it's a couple seconds to go. You knew at that. I agree with you, but you're not talking about a very smart.
Again, same production. Sarah Strong and Chris Bosh pretty much doing the same thing, right? Other than this 18 points, 16, 16. Sarah Strong averages 16, 9, and 3. Chris Bosh averages 16, 6, 16 and 7, 18 and 8. It's pretty much the same stat line. And Sarah Strong's the number one player in the nation from her class. And then to fast forward and say 13 years later she wasn't part of their big three is ridiculous. It's absolutely
Fucking, you remedial. What does that mean? Retarded.
remedial. I don't want to say retarded because it is, but I'm gonna just say remedial from if you know Friday After Next, you know what that word means. Anyways, that's pretty much that. Let's go ahead
I
and
always
finish
love
this
a
out.
big two. I don't really love accomplishments, but on their team, so they put up big numbers and had big accomplishments. But when you think about it, Bosh was the ultimate professional. He took a back seat and he played a role in which, because he had such a high IQ and he was such a professional as an individual, his approach to everything is what made that work. When you look in Boston, okay, you can say Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce was a big three. Again, Rondo. Thinking about names, but the way that offense was ran, Rondo's capability during that time, it was a lot different. When you've seen people go for that, it never really worked. And I've had this conversation with several different, owners of teams and having this
Yeah, man. Don't listen to Rich Paul. He don't know what he talking about. He just chatting. Well, anyways, man, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. It's just, it's just stupid, bro. To say that Chris Bosh wasn't part of the big three, it's just absurd. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. How do you feel about today's topics? We talked about Deja Kelly getting a contract. I know some people have some mixed emotion. Try to keep my ears to the streets when I say, "Oh, Deja Kelly," and I'm one of those people that say that she's good enough to make a roster. Some people may say, "Oh, she was just not good enough to be drafted." Well, even while not being drafted, still got the opportunity to make a team with the Las Vegas Aces, right? Angel Reese buying a home. What they gonna say now? USC's new signings: Akira Dunn, Jazzy Davidson being the number one player, and the stupidity of basketball media saying that Chris Bosh again wasn't part of the big three. I'm going to get out of here. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you do, guys, really appreciate it. And I'm gonna see you guys in the next video, man.